Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the moderator of the next session, Thomas Seifert.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Seifert. I'm the editor-in-chief of European Voices, a fairly new quarterly magazine published in Vienna. And I want to welcome Karel Havlíček to the stage. He will give a short keynote, and afterwards we will dive right into a Q&A.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my speech today focusing on the current position of the European Union in the global world will not be so optimistic. As someone who has always supported and still supports the European Union project, I must say that I'm frustrated, not with the current developments, which cannot come as a surprise, but that the current European Union establishment does not want to acknowledge reality. If we want to change things, we must be able to see the current situation for what truly is, admit what we have done wrong, and come up with solutions. And that's what's missing. What's missing is the courage to describe things as they are, and even more the courage to start fixing what we have all underestimated. Worse still, we pretend that the European Union is the center of the world around which world security, business, science and innovation revolve. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case. The European Union is being defeated not only by the United States, but also by the Asian powers led by China. However, whereas before it was thanks to cheaper labor, now we are being beaten by new technologies. Europe has ambitions to be at the forefront, the fight for climate goals, but does not realize that it's playing useful fools for other powers. It's closing steel works without using less of steel. It imports from Asia. However, steel in Asia is produced in smelters with higher emissions than those in the European Union. This is just exporting emissions. In the European Union, we are ordering an end to combustion engine cars, with Chinese electric cars gaining an increasingly dominant position in Europe. I'm ignoring the carbon footprint and the conditions from which cars are made in China, but Europe is losing the biggest competitive advantage. It had the low emission combustion engine cars that's used to beat its competitors and also protect the climate. We thus no one question the fact that we are closing our fossil fuel sources and importing overpriced gas from Russia, Qatar, or United States. Has anyone mapped the amount of CO2 from ocean-going ships bringing LNG into Europe? Are we okay with becoming self-sufficient in mineral extractions, mining, and importing from other continents? So at the same time, it's important to know that China is beginning to outpace the European Union in innovation. The reason is simple. At the moment, there are 290,000 Chinese students studying in the United States. 120,000 in the European Union and 140,000 in Australia. Most of them are returning to China and working for industry there. And they have a huge incentive to succeed. This drives them to achieve. Not to mention that they are adding work, while in the EU we are becoming a welfare state where we boast that we are reducing working hours. Can we not see that China is only following its own rules and that's defending its own interests first and foremost? Are we so naive that we do not realize that we are becoming a tourist destination for China and that added value is being created in Beijing? But let us not find fault with China, which is inscrutable, well, I understand, from our point of view. In fact, China is behaving pragmatically with regards to its size. The fault lies with us for not recognizing it. Let's face it, the European Union is over-regulated and overly reliant on subsidies. Let us admit that our universities are falling in the world rankings. Let us admit that our companies are losing competitiveness and moving to other destinations, to US, to China, to Asia, Indonesia. Let us not stick our heads in the sand and name our problems, please. The only way we will change this is if we admit that we were wrong. It's the only way to preserve the European Union and not to destroy the wonderful project. Cosmetic changes and political platitudes are not enough. Politicians come and go. So is it, that's reality. Let us trust producers, industry, and entrepreneurs. They, unlike the politicians, can see beyond the horizon of a few political years. It's not the politicians who will do the restart, but the successful businessmen. We should abandon the idea that it's the politicians who will restart the European Union. It will be done by companies and their employees, of course. It's not the job of the governments to create added value. The job of the politicians is to create the environment for those who can. And creating the correct environment means that we keep a big industry and small, medium-sized enterprises here, that we give them energy predictability and energy prices comparable to other major powers. To do this, we need to strengthen energy and raw material self-sufficiency. We must not be afraid to say that the European Union cannot meet in its 2050 climate ambitions without putting businesses, those who can still save the continent's prosperity, at risk. For this to happen, it's essential to invest heavily in science, research, innovation, and top quality education at all levels. Enable the development of the startups and the spin-offs, of course, already at the university level, and motivate young people to start their own business. Let's start the European Union by creating a stronger market environment, reducing subsidies and regulations. Let's incentivize investments. Let's stop reinforcing the influence of governments and the European Union, European Commission, which redistribute unprecedented amounts of resources in the form of subsidies. This will ensure not only prosperity, but also much needed financial resources for the necessary greening of the environment. Thank you very much, and I'm ready to discuss with you.
Yes, thanks a lot. Just listen to your keynote, and you have been quite critical of the past few years here in the European Union. But on the other hand, there was just maybe some of you listening, Brad Smith, Vice Chairman and President of Microsoft, where he basically said, well, also think about your strength. And when I think about Europe's strength in the tech sector, also, for instance, look at where Boeing is, where Airbus is at this point, or look at when you produce chips. There's no way around a certain company in the Netherlands or the pharmaceutical industry. So we have these strengths. How would you suggest that what we learn in these sectors, where obviously we're good at, base science, biosciences, etc., or machinery like Airbus, that we can translate that into the tech sector, where we chip production, software, services, and also, as you said, modern machinery, where, for instance, electric vehicles and stuff.
Well, so first of all, we have to strengthen the self-sufficiency of the Europe. I cannot say right now if it's only in the pharmaceutical business, if it's I don't know in other business fields. But for me, it's important to respect that the European Union is an area. And this is the area of the particular countries. Well, and different activities we can expect from the Czech Republic, and different strengths there are in the Czech Republic, in Italy, in UK, and we have to respect that this is not, let's say, is the union of the regions. This is the union of the particular countries, especially Czech Republic. Czech Republic, it's extremely strong in industrial activities. We've got a great history, and we are open economy. We are exporting more by 80%. Of all exported products that we are exporting, more than 80% they are exporting to European Union. And okay, the other countries, they are strong in the pharmacy. The other country, let's say, is the different type of industry. So it's not so simple to identify for all of the strengths of the European Union environment and all of the weaks, because in the different countries it's different.
And when we look at the innovation puzzle, it seems to me that okay, there is capital, so we need investment. And there is brains, so we need good universities, and we need also cooperation between private sector and universities. And when you think of it, Europe, in terms of brains, that seems not to be our main problem. But when it comes to capital, if people have venture capital, maybe they rather go invest on a Nasdaq in the United States than at tech companies in Europe. So how can we strengthen where can these deficits that we have? Is a common capital market a solution? What is to be done to raise more venture capital in Europe?
Well, first, to create an investment environment, innovation environment. What does it mean? This is not, let's say, connected only to the subsidies, because we are living in a naive or in a, let's say, the wrong idea that subsidies, the governmental subsidies, they are the cause of the innovation and investment. First, what we have to deregulate the environment in the European Union. The level of the regulation, it's extremely high. And we have no chance to compare with the US or with China. Then we have to reduce the subsidy activities, redistribution of the financial sources of the European Union or the particular countries. And then we have to create as an innovation and investment environment based on the predictability of the energy prices, predictability of the taxes, of the labor market, of course, how you mentioned the talents, and they are not only the talents from the European Union. Let's create an environment to attract, to recruit the talents from Pakistan, from India, from Asia. It's important for the companies in Europe, and of course to support the young people. They will create the startups and spin-offs at the university level. What does it mean? We have to support the incubators. Inspiration for me is the United States of America. I had the opportunity to visit New York, Washington, Florida, and the other cities, and to visit the incubators and the hubs. And I have to say it's a big difference between the European hubs and incubators and the American incubators, because the American incubators, they are, let's say, results-oriented. The European incubators, well, they are quantity oriented, not the quality oriented. Well, so to suppose young people they will start their own business, like in America.
You mentioned before the combustion engine issue versus electric vehicles in mainly probably in the future maybe being produced in China. And for me an analogy comes to mind, and that is Nokia. Nokia clinged for too long to their technology, and then the touch screens came along, Apple came along, Samsung later on as well, and they just thought, okay, let's just keep our legacy technologies. And a little bit, isn't that the danger that we have? And I know that the Czech Republic is very dependent on also, German automotive industry, Austria, where I come from as well. Couldn't it be a problem that we cling on for too long to this legacy industry, whereas China already leapfrogs to EV, pushes EV into the market, of course, with cheap, cheap and also probably subsidized prices, and we sit there, and at the end it's like a Nokia situation where, yes, Nokia today, who still has a product from Nokia? Raise your hand.
Nobody.
Nobody. And if I asked that question maybe just 10 years ago, a lot of hands would have gone up. So isn't that a danger that we maybe have a problem here?
Well, first, it's not real to think that we can compete with China. That's reality. Well, China is a big country. The problem is that China is beating the Europe, not by the cheap labor force. They are beating the Europe by the innovation, by the new technology, and that's a change. So, and that's what we have to change in the European Union. We have to invest into the added value, into the business activities. They are generating the profits, not only turnover. Well, not only revenues, but the profitability. Profitability is based on added value. And if it's in let's say, the communication technology or machinery or automotive, I don't know. But you mentioned Chinese electromobiles. Well, that's a pity. That's a problem because we are, as a consequences of the climate policy. And I've nothing against the climate policy. I'm against the activist climate policy. So what we are doing, we are reducing the business of the European car producers in the automotive segment. At the same time, well, we are importing the Chinese cars. And the question is, well, in which environment they are producing these cars and the emission footprint and so on. And the same is, or similar is in a steel, well, in the steel works. We are reducing the production of the steel across Europe, okay, as a consequence of the emission allowance and so on. But the question is if the consumption of the steel in Europe is increasing or is decreasing. Of course, it's decreasing, especially in a sector like a construction, like automotive. And what we are doing? Well, we are importing the steel from China. And the question is where they are producing the steel in China, on the plants for the vehicles with the worse efficiency. So definitely, they are generating the most emissions, for more emissions than the factories in Europe. Well, that's not normal. Well.
Mario Draghi has been commissioned to come up with a report, probably in September already, about how to improve Europe's position in terms of competitiveness, and also in terms of productivity. What are your expectations? What we can expect from Mario Draghi's report?
From the innovation point of view.
Yeah, from the innovation.
Because I know, so he's very active in his innovation activities. And it's the same what I said. Well, maybe it's good to say that the innovation must be the basis of innovation must be the market demand, not the governmental or European subsidy. Well, that's important to say. And overall, and the role of the governments is not to innovate. The role of the governments and the European Union is to create an environment as an innovation-friendly environment where the startup spin-offs and also the medium-sized companies and the big corporations, they will invest into the innovation. Well, that's all.
Mr. Havlíček, thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Also, I want to apologize to my audience that we don't have time for Q&A. My clock here is ticking to 21 seconds, so you can see how on a tight schedule we're operating here. But thanks again for being with us for this session. And also, I want to end this with an announcement. So please stay in your seats, because the program continues right away with the next session, and that is on strategic economic outlooks for the global crisis. So another interesting session is waiting for you. I hope I see you there for the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.